We're doing SQL injection for this lab, this part of the lab. So let's go to example one. And in example one, we just have a very simple thing here where we can just use a true statement. So we're going to put the backslash instead of root. We're going to put backslash here. We're just going to attach our true statement, or 1 equals 1, 10.3, which is pound. And there we go. We dumped out all tables. Now let's move on to example number 2. With example number 2, as you can see there, we could try that same attack. I copied it, so I could just put it in here, and use this. But what we're gonna see here is that by putting that in, we're gonna get an error, no space. So what I did instead was filling out all that space with -0 and 9. So instead of putting those spaces, I just ran that command with -0 and 9, which are not dash, I mean %0 and 9, which %0 and 9 is tab. So that'll take care of all the spaces right there for you. It's asking for tab. So let's go and put the command in. So okay, paste, and it dumped out all the tables. So now it went over that that thing that wasn't allowing you to that protection, and it just dumped out all the tables anyways, even after you got it, with error no space. So now let's move on to example 3. And with example 3, as you can see here, we're still in brute. It looks very much the same, but now what we're going to be doing is we're not allowed to just simply inject our true statement. So we're going to have to traverse a little bit of the URL to inject it. So the command I wrote was this one. The single colon or single quotation quote to go and end the query. And let's go and inject this. So we kind of traverse the URL right here. Let's go, and there we go. We were able to inject our true statement. So we inject our true statement, and it dumped out all the tables right here. So now let's move on to our next example, which is example number 4. So for example number 4, you can see there we're using ID2. The developer used the PHP statement to pull the ID. So we could actually see it. We could kind of move this around a little bit. Let's just change the ID to 1, for example. And we saw the ID 1 is admin age 10. So then we could try injecting some SQL in here. So a true statement, for example, would be or 1 equals 1. And it dumps out all the tables right there. The machine doesn't know what to do, the system doesn't know what to do, so it just dumps out all the tables once it reads that true statement. So let's go ahead and move on to example number 5. With example number 5, the developers are simply using regex to make it work, so that when you use regex, they're still using that same PHP in the statement, but when you use regex, you could essentially use that same command. Let's go ahead and copy that and paste it. You could use the same command, still holds it up. So as you can see here, it dumped out all the tables by using that same 1 or 1 equals 1 statement that we had used in the past. The same thing is true with example number 6. With example number 6, the regex is still being used to so that they could spot, anybody trying to use an SQL injection statement, but it doesn't stop you really from using it. So you can still change this to 1 or 1 equals 1, and it still dumps the tables. So it still has the same effect. So let's go ahead and move on to example number 7. With example number 7, what they do is the developers make it so that the line that executes the command won't take in any commands, any outside commands. So what you have to do if you're testing it, is that you have to add a %0a, which what this command does is it creates a new line. So let's go and do that. Let me just copy and paste my command here that I wrote down previously. Okay, so the ID is going to be 1, and we're gonna have our true statement be on the second line, or 1 equals 1. So let's go and paste that, and it dumps out all the tables once again. So this is a very this putting that line so it won't execute the command. There's ways around it, and this using the ASCII value %0a is one way around it. So let's go and move on to the next command, or next example. So the next example, as you can see here, all we have the tables out and about, but we're just curious if we can manipulate it. So let's go and try to manipulate it. Which the way to manipulate it, to test for manipulation, is that we just put a backtick, and then we could change it to descending order, for example. Right now it's in ascending order, so it's in 1, 2, 3, 5. So let's go and change to descending order. Do that, and there you go. It's 5, 3, 2, 1. So this is vulnerable to this kind of attack, this kind of an SQL injection. So example 9. With example 9, it's pretty much the same thing, except that with example 9, we're curious to see if we could. We're going to be using a different method of manipulating data. So instead of doing this name thing, we're calling for the name here. We're just going to add. Let's do add 0 if name 0 here. Just double check that's correct. Yeah, it looks correct. Okay. So then we could just go and run it, and excuse me. Example 9. Just paste. No. Excuse me for the time here that I'm taking, but let me just copy and paste this command. Copy, paste, and there we go. It pulled up the admin first, so it just kind of reordered things, which is exactly what we wanted it to do. So that was it for SQL injections. That was the last example right there for SQL injections. Next is going to be directory traversal.